A warm greetings to everyone. I'm Mounika from the Department of Foods and Nutrition, and I'm going to discuss about the topic on nutritional assessment. And first, before going into the topic, we just need to understand what is assessment in nutrition. So while we are meeting a patient or while we are meeting a client, we need to know about his past history, so past medical history or surgery history, or we need to know about his complete health care. So this kind of assessment will be very much useful for them. Now coming to the SOAP assessment tool. So there are various types of assessment tool in nutrition, but particularly this SOAP assessment tool is very much familiar and easy to get the information regarding the patient or a client. So in this SOAP assessment, we have first before going into the SOAP, what is SOAP assessment? We need to understand why we need it and how we can get the information from the patient. So the SOAP assessment is nothing but the subjective, objective, assessment and plan. So subjective is nothing but we are deriving the information from the patient about their history of medical histories or some nutritional histories or any surgery history, something like that. The information which we are deriving directly from the patient is called as subjective data. And the next is objective data. The objective data is nothing but regarding their anthropometric data, biochemical, clinical and dietary recall, and everything will come under the objective data. And the next is the assessment. While we are assessing the patient, so with the information we got from the subjective and the objective data, we need to conclude with a final result of the assessment. And with the result of the assessment, we need to plan the nutritional calories for them. So that is called the plan. So with the SOAP assessment, we will come to know, and that is very reliable assessment tool, and it is in one-on-one session. So we can directly get the information from the patient or we can get it from the attendant. And the next is so coming to the SOAP, the complete objective. So as I said before, subjective, objective, and the assessment and plan. So with the subjective, we are getting an interaction between the patient and the client, and we are deriving the information regarding the past medical history. And objective, in objective, we have four categories. One is anthropometric, A, B, C, D, whereas anthropometric data, biochemical data, clinical significance, and dietary recall. Here, so what is anthropometry? So anthropometry is nothing but the basic knowledge about the height and weight. So that's it. So we need to get their height and weight. With the height and weight, we need to calculate their BMI, body mass index. So with that, we need to find their height, weight, and the body mass index. Body mass index is nothing but whether their weight is perfect for the height. So the formula for that is weight in kg and height in meter square. So from that, these are the BMI interpretation. So if the person's BMI is below 18.5 kg per meter square, he comes under the underweight category. And if he is under 18.5 to 24.9, he will be in the normal. If it is above 25 to 30, it will be overweight. And then if it is greater than 30, he will come under the obese category. If the patient or a client is coming under the obese category, we need to find this adjustable body weight also. I'll tell the calculation in the later slides. And the next is, so this is how we need to calculate their anthropometric data. So the age, height in meter, and weight, and the BMI. If the height is 1.53 and the weight is 73, the BMI will be around 31.2, which is obese grade 1. So for the obese grade 1, the status is obese grade 1, and I have calculated the adjustable body weight, which is 58. And the next is biochemical data. While coming to the biochemical data, we can come to a conclusion whether the patient is having diabetic, or if he is anemic or not, or if he is having any renal dysfunction, or any kind of blood related dysfunctions can be find in this biochemical data. And next one is clinical significance. Clinical significance is nothing but while we are seeing a patient, so we can come to a conclusion, okay, he might be having this deficiency. For example, if the eyes are pale, we can just tell that he might be having some iron deficiency. Or there are some dark circles, we can just find it out. He might be having some food intolerance. And next is about the bleeding gums. So bleeding gums is a result of vitamin C deficiency in the patient. And the next is pale eyes, and if the throat part is larger than the normal, we can just say he might have some thyroid problem or something like that. So from just by looking the patient, we can just say they might be having, or they will be have the deficiency in the future can be predicted in this clinical significance. And the next is dietary recall. Dietary recall is very much important. If the patient is having any food allergies, or if the patient is having any food related disease has been came to him, we can be find out from this dietary recall. Dietary recall is nothing but we need to come to an understanding how much calorie he is taking in a normal daily basis. So the macronutrients can be calculated and the micronutrients also can be calculated with a 3-day dietary recall. While going to the 3 days dietary recall, we should get 2 weekdays recall and 1 weekend recall. From these 3 days, we can come to a conclusion how much ever the vitamins or minerals he is taking in a normal daily weekdays or a basis. So from that, we can actually find out whether the nutrients is sufficient for him, whether the protein intake is sufficient for him, or whether he is having any kind of some vitamins is very lacking, or the iron intake is for him is very lacking. Some people will not be eating the green leafy vegetables at all for a very long time. Even they might not known that. While coming to an while going for a recall, particularly the 3-day recall, we can find it out that he might be having iron deficiency, something like that. And the next is assessment. Assessment is very important. Why? Because from the subjective and the objective data. Objective data, we have derived a lot of information. From the anthropometry, we have found whether his body mass index is normal or not, and from the next is about the biochemical. From the biochemical, we have found out whether he's anemic or not, or he's having any the diabetic or something like that can be found from that. And the clinical significance, where the clinical if he is having, he might be having, or he is actually suffering from the deficiency of nutrition can be discussed there. And from the dietary recall, the nutrition sufficient or not can be discussed. So from those assessment, we need to plan his calories. So now the calories should be planned according to the anthropometric data. First, we need to give the priority for the anthropometric data. So if he is overweight, so no, he's not normal and obese, but he's overweight, we need to restrict his calories, and we need to concentrate on what all it should be restricted in the diet. And likewise, we need to plan the calories. And for overall calorie, if he is normal, we should give 30 calorie per kg per day. And then for if he is completely obese, we can go for 20 calories. And the next is about the protein. If he is completely some patient might be having some renal dysfunction, so doctor might suggest him to take a lower protein level. So we can go for 0.5 grams per kg. Or in the normal basis, suppose the person is very normal, he is not having any kind of background of any problems regarding the protein, so we can give 1 gram per kg. Or if he needs more protein, for example, he might be very very much underweight, so he need more protein. So for that, we can go up to 1.5 grams per kg. And the next is water intake. Water intake should be consulted with the doctor if the patient is very serious in some renal dysfunction or some surgery kind of stuffs. We need to check his urine output, and then we need to finally find out how much water he should intake. So this is how the SOAP assessment will be. Now I will complete it. So now I will tell you how to take an assessment of SOAP format. So now SOAP, first we need to take an information of the patient, the name, age, gender, and the socio-economic status. This helps for the planning of the diet. And the next is regarding the past medical history and the past surgical history. And then so these kind of informations will, and then the family history, and whether the patient is alcoholic or smoking habit was there or not, something like that can be. These kind of information should get from the patients. Why? Because for each details we are having justification. The first one is the socio-economic status. From these socio-economic status, if the person is coming under the below poverty line, we cannot actually afford tell to afford him for an almond or pista or something like that, which is high in protein, which is high biological value of protein. So we need to according to their status level, we can actually plan their protein intake by, for example, giving the peanuts is enough for them. So peanuts is enough for everybody, but for the fancy dietary kind of stuff, we cannot go for that. So the socio-economic status is very important. And next is past medical history. From the past medical history informations, we can come to an so if the patient is diabetic or if the patient is having any kind of PCOS or any kind of hypertension, or if he's undergone some surgery. So these kind of informations will help us to plan the diet for the further days. And next is regarding the family history. If the father and the mother is having just father alone is having diabetic, or mother alone is having any heart disease, if the patient is overweight or obese, so we can just aware them regarding, see, your parents are having a cardiac problem and they are also obese from the beginning, and you might be end up in having cardiac problem or something like that, and by that we can motivate the particular patient to keep an eye on their nutritional status, and on the dietary recall should be proper, on the dietary intake should be proper in there. So this is the main reason to collect these kind of informations. And alcoholic and smoking. So alcoholic, as we know, so alcohol and drug will always get an interaction. So we need to get so if the patient is having 7 years of history of alcohol, or if the patient is completely chain smoker, he might be having a lot of nutritional deficiency, even though if he is taking adequate amount of that. So this comes under the subjective data. So next is the GI tract function. So GI tract function is nothing but we need to discuss about the appetite, hunger, thirst, maturation, and the bowel movement and sleep. So whether the food is adequate for him or not, and the water intake of the patient is proper, or the urine output is normal, and the bowel movement for him is proper in the daily basis, and the sleep is sound and refreshing for him or not, can be discussed with the patient, and we can come to a conclusion regarding the GI tract functions is proper in his daily basis or not. And the next is about the objective data. So objective data, we are having A, B, C, D, where anthropometric data, here we can come to a conclusion with the height and weight. So with the BMI, as is shown in the slide, the BMI is obese in the patient, so obese grade 1. And next, with the biochemical data, if the patient is having a slight anemic, we can come to an interpretation regarding the anemic. And coming to the clinical significance, they are having any pale eyes are there, or if the throat is slightly enlarged, we can aware them regarding the some thyroid function test can be done for them. So these kind of information will be derived from the clinical significance. So if it is a pale eyes or nails and eyes can be kept here. And the dietary recall, from the 24-hour dietary recall or 3 days of dietary recall, we can get an conclusion like the intake of the protein is very much less in their daily basis, or the intake of the milk and milk products is very less in their daily basis. So what we have come to the conclusion is the poor protein intake, and then a low amount of milk product. So milk product is nothing but the calcium or something like that, and poor GLP intake. So these are the informations we have derived from the objective data. And the next is about the assessment. So assessment is coming with these kind of informations. We need to write the assessment. So the assessment is nothing but the patient is obese with grade 1, and the next is anemic and poor intake of protein and GLP, and the next is pale eyes and nails and eyes. So with this assessment we need to plan. So while we are planning, so if he is obese grade 1, we need to plan 25 calories per kg. So with the adjustable body weight of 57 into 25, we need to plan the total kilocalorie, and protein we can just go with the 1 gram per day. So with that, protein will be 57, and remaining will comes under for the fat. So the coming to the fat, we can go for good fat, or what kind of fat they are actually preferring can be discussed here. So this is how the SOAP assessment tool will be. And the next is, these kind of SOAP assessment will be very much useful in what kind of manner, in the survey basis we can use this kind of SOAP assessment, and a lot of informations, this is the skeleton of the SOAP assessment. But if we need any kind of extra informations, like if I wanted to concentrate on the dietary recall, I need to get to know more about the dietary intake. So we can go like, okay, fine, we can go and just ask their instead of 24-hour recall, or instead of 3 days of recall, we can go for 7 days of recall also. So the dietary recall session will be even much bigger than that. So then what else can be added is, if the patient in a particular locality, if they are having any iron deficiency is prevalent in the locality or in their community, we can get to an information about we can get an information regarding the complete GLP intake. So even the curry leaves also can be included in the dietary recall. So these kind of questionnaires can be added in the SOAP assessment, and this is very much familiar in overall universe to get the proper and adequate information from the client. So this is how the SOAP assessment will be, and thank you for listening.